Hello and good morning. Thank you so much for joining me on this joyous, spontaneous occasion. Hello, Christina, and anyone else who's watching out there. Very nice to see you all. I have about just over an hour to have a play before I go to work. And work is it's one of those things. This is the company I work for here, Instacart. And that means I'll be spending 6 hours in the supermarket, which is a weird kind of thought for me because I'm thinking if we wanted to contain as much as we can contain, it might not be in my best interest to hang out there in the supermarket for such a long time. So yeah, I'm gonna check the temperature today and see how it goes, and I might just go on a spontaneous holiday and just not work for the next few weeks, just because, do I need to give that to myself? One of those things. Yes, absolutely. I always do that, Christina. I always kind of get ready for this in the morning, and then I fiddle around and do stuff. This morning I could post some old thumbnails on Tumblr. That was quite nice. I thought I'll go and clear out some of my things that I've got here that I've been accumulating. And considering the amount of time I spent on thumbnails, I thought, yeah, maybe I'll just preserve them somewhere. And hello, Faye and Mo. Good to see you. I wanted to do one thing just quickly before we begin, and that has to do with the Google Calendar, the public Google Calendar. Shareable link. This is the one. Copy the link. I was going to put that into my profile on Twitch, so I thought maybe that's a good idea to get started. So this is the link here. I believe Cal, and that will give everyone details around not so much about my work schedule, but about the stream schedule. So if I do have a spontaneous slot of time that I can use for that, or if my days at work change around, then I'll make a note in the calendar when I intend to stream. So like a week or so in advance. So let's just go put that in before I forget, because it is one of those things that's in the chat, but it's not actually on the bottom of the whole thing here, which is this, of course. So we have sub perks, we've got YouTube. Of course, let me just go and put my little pointer focus on. And I was thinking I'm going to put this into the schedule box here. There, that's where I'm going to put it. So currently, what am I saying? I don't have a set schedule as I work around other commitments like my day job, but lately I've been online around 5 p.m. EST, Wednesday to Saturday. It's hard to predict what my brain is in the mood for. I might take that out. I also drop by for the occasional spontaneous stream, either in the afternoon or in the morning before I go. Yeah, so I might take those two parts out and just direct people to my Google Calendar, I'm thinking. That is so nice of you to say, Fayamo. That's really nice that you like the FBI chap. And I was in fact so inspired by him that I'm making a whole scene, and this is what I'm building right now. I had a power cut yesterday that interrupted the stream and stopped it slightly earlier than I had intended it. So I'm going to set up some cameras then. I can show you what I have so far. So definitely the last thing can go because the Twitter announcements aren't quite working well right now. I might bring that back. Yeah, so let's get rid of that. What am I going to say? I'm so glad you two like it. That's really nice. And I'm really looking forward to the scene coming together. I've got some ideas of how to set up those cameras, the secondary cameras. That's all very new to me. But I think what I'm going to do next is just set up the cameras where I intend them to be and not quite cut to them just yet. And then I can animate them a little bit, and then I can go and cut to them if and when I see fit. So we're going to try and do that. I'm going to try and do that today. Oh, did you say something in caps? I'm so sorry. My bot doesn't like that. But don't take it personally. You just type it again. My Google Calendar has more. Is that good? My Google Calendar has more. That's lame, isn't it? Let's just come up with something that's less lame. I post my schedule on a Google Calendar. How about that? Let's do that. So, and then this, I believe, is, if I remember this correctly, we'll do that. And then we go like that. Is that correct? We hit submit. And then we go and flick that little switch. I post my schedule on a Google Calendar. So at least we have a link in there now. And if I click that, then it goes to the Google Calendar, which has, you know, Brian digitizes himself tonight at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be good. And I didn't put this one in, but it'll be, because that is today, isn't it? Yeah. So, but tomorrow afternoon, I'm supposed to not work, so I'll be here. I'm working Tuesday, and I'm actually working Wednesday, so that needs to go over here. There we go. Glad we cleared that up. Okay, let's have a look at Blender now and see where I am. I've had some issues setting up the two cameras in the beginning. Oh, and also one thing that Steve mentioned to me, I'll go through that as soon as I load the file. I've recreated yesterday the falling barrier. So this is what, where is he? That's where he falls. Yeah, so when the bank manager who's dancing inside the bank, when he is getting excited, he goes and knocks into this barrier. So I had to recreate that yesterday because the thing is, due to the power cut, Blender hadn't saved anything automatically for a while. And about and actually, it kind of varies from week to week, Christina. Sometimes I work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but other weeks I work Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But I can never really predict when what happens. So I mean, I can give availability, and sometimes I feel like working 3 days in a row, but other days I feel like I need a day and another day to myself, and then I can work another 2 days. So because it varies, I'm thinking if I post it inside the Google Calendar when I'm streaming, I think that'll be helpful to all of us, including me, because I can then also maybe put YouTube scheduled things in there. If I have a premiere of something scheduled, then I can put that in there, so we're kind of all on the same page. And also it'll be good for other streamers to not interfere with one another's schedule, I'm thinking. Yeah, so it's not a permanent change. It's kind of, it varies. So I recreated that while I was watching Steve's stream yesterday, this thing. And the issue was, due to the power cut, Blender hadn't saved for about an hour. And I thought, under preferences over here, I thought that under save and load my autosave, every 2 minutes, that would do the trick. But it looks like that isn't quite enough. So Steve was saying I need to increase the number of save versions. Is that correct? Exactly. So that means, and this is the default, by the way. I never changed this, Christina. So this is how Blender 2.82 comes out of the box, which is a totally bizarre way of doing it. So they have the autosave on 2 minutes, but save versions on 1. So basically it never saves anything else, which is bizarre. So I want to increase that to 10. That's certainly. Is it a bug? I don't know. If you look in the manual, it's kind of personal preference, isn't it? I remember that on previous versions of Blender, it was at least set to 2, so that you always had the blend file and you had the blend 1 file, and that makes perfect sense. But I didn't even have a blend 1 file, so no autosaves were ever made, which is, I'm thinking, that's crazy. I don't understand why they do that. Yeah, why isn't autosave something that you'd want to deactivate? So I would imagine if I set this to 10 now, and this is saving it, right? Yeah, this is saving it. So if I go and set this to 10 now, every 2 minutes I should create another version in the background. That's how it works, right? I hope. I gotta tell you, the best implementation of autosave is in fact Unreal Engine. I love that because the project takes so long to save that they go and give you a notification that autosave is going to commence in whatever 20 seconds. And if you're busy working, you can skip it. And if you're not busy, it just goes and saves it. But it's a really nice way of knowing when it's coming without interrupting your flow. I know that Premiere autosaves, but it always takes 5 to 10 seconds depending on how much you've got going there. So let's have a look what the first cameras we did set up, and they were the only ones that have survived. So if I go and get rid of that, these are, I might change them around. I'm using the same camera to cut away, and now I'm moving the camera and then I'm cutting to that camera again. But it might actually be in my best interest if I make those separate cameras. And so from then on, nothing else has been saved. So I had to recreate the falling barrier there. And I guess I'm just hiding this strip later in the render. I've just used a plane this time to make that happen. But in here, once we're looking at the scene, I'm going to go and have, I think, one camera on the lady in green. I have one camera close up on the bank manager. I think this works well already. I might have one from the back, looking at the back of the scene as a cutaway. And those are the cameras I want to set up today. I hope that's going to work out. And then once they're set up, I can then go and think about when I want to cut to them. So let's jump right in. And then in the end, I guess I'm going to change around the way I've set up the first cameras there. That's the plan anyway. It will fill up your hard drive. It's so the way it works with these files is if you head over to oh man, I was zoomed in. I'm so sorry about that. If I hit save now, really what happens is that my current file will be saved as whatever my scene is .blend, and the version I had there before will become the blend1 file. So that's how Blender works. That's kind of nice. So every time I hit save, that's the process that happens. And technically, a new file is written and the old file is renamed, so it's not overwritten. And they do that because if I had made some changes and I'm now clicking save and I'm thinking, oh shit, man, I didn't want to do that. I have overwritten all my changes. Not the case. It is actually still saved in the other version there. And it's nice that you can, if you open it, I will actually, will I save? Yeah, I will save something. If you do open something, there is a way to filter out what you'd like to see. Like I think this is, yeah, that's where that is here in this filter menu. It says folders and blend files, but you can also show backup blend files. So if I enable that now, I should see that I have Bank Heist 7, which is my current project, and I currently have a blend1 file, which is nice. So that has happened. So I'm hoping that every 2 minutes I will also now create a blend 2, blend 3, blend 4 file. That's the idea. Yes, and you can also then, yeah, you can just go and if you don't want to see them, Blender doesn't display them by default, but you can make that happen if you like. Yes, I've been through all these things yesterday. So the other way to do it would be to recover the last session. That's another way to get back a blend file if your Blender has crashed or something. But if you had a power cut, then you know that's not gonna really work. There. So I'll go set up a close-up on the bank manager and on the green lady, and then I have one from the back. So those are the 3 cameras we're gonna create. I might go and bring my overlays back. Cursor is here, that's good. So I'm on the right collection, that's also good. Let's go and create a camera. Call it Cam 3. Actually, I'm going to be even clever. I'm going to make it Cam 4 because Cam 1 is my main, and then I have 2 and 3 on the outside. 3 doesn't quite exist yet, but 4 is going to be the one of the bank manager. So let's go and switch to him. And he is, in fact, the bank employees. There we go. Whoops. Bank employees. Oh, there they are. Cool. I also wanted to change the camera to 28 millimeters focal length. And it's the green lady really that I'm after. So while she's dancing, I don't really know where. Oh man, has that really happened? Yeah, it has happened, hasn't it? That's terrible. Yeah, I think this is why I need to redo my cameras here, because as soon as I switch to another camera, this is why this is kind of new to me. If I switch to this camera, I'm in here now, I can move it and frame it up, but as soon as I want to move the timeline to see where my animation is at that point, it'll jump back to the camera that's selected in here. So as soon as I do that, it switches back to camera 1. And I think I'm just going to go and delete those markers here. In fact, all those markers. And so that now, yeah, let's do that. That's probably better for me. That's probably better for me. Great. So switch back to that. And yes, now I can set up my green lady. And wherever I need to cut to it, I'll decide later. So I think yesterday I had something like that, just to have her close. I think that might work. I might actually do it a bit closer even. And I'll animate those cameras as well. I'll just put them in position now so that I've got something to cut to if and when I need to. I'm going to go and duplicate this camera. I think that works best. And let's call this one. Oh, actually, yeah, I need to do that up here, don't I? I'm a little bit confused why I always get a different name up here than down here. I mean, it's a camera, isn't it? I don't really understand that logic. I understand it on a mesh where you have geometry and you have kind of the object that holds the geometry, but I don't understand it with cameras, because on cameras you've got these two naming conventions as well, and I don't really understand that about Blender, I must admit. Now I'll go and switch over to the selected camera, so camera 5. And that means now I can go and frame up the bank manager. And he's dancing wild, so I'll go and see what I actually want to see here of him. Yeah, I might show him more half from the side here. Might actually show him from the other side. That might work better for us. Or do a sweeping pan there, that might also work. Yeah, if he's doing something like that, I think I'd like to see that in kind of in close up. I know. It's I'm about to go to work, Steampunk Belladonna. I'm thinking I've got about another 45 minutes in which I can at least keep working on this project, and then I'll have to go and rock a shift at the supermarket. So I thought I'd make the most of the time. I'll go and duplicate camera 5 now, and then I'll see how I can get a shot from behind. We'll call him camera 6. That's how I'd assumed it, Christina. And like I said, it makes sense when I think about an object that has kind of the geometry as well as the container, but I don't really understand this about a camera. I mean, why is there, this is the container, I guess, and this is then the actual camera object, I take it, which is why that's named differently than that. I mean, I could really make this work for my advantage, right? So I could say, I need to actually change this setup in OBS that the whole Blender interface now is moved to the left. Let me do that actually while we're here together, and I'll say this display capture needs to really be over here, doesn't it? That's more like it, I think. If we do that, then we see that's much better. That's much better. Good to do this now while we think about it. So I could use this to my advantage actually and say, I'll call it cam 6. So that's the thing that I'm going to be cutting to in the timeline. But if I wanted to make a note of what that actually is, I could probably give that a title down here. That's kind of like the reverse interior, for example. That'd be nice. I think I might do that. I might just go and turn the confusion into something meaningful. Let me go and switch to that camera. And now I'll go and show the whole scene from behind. So in that, I can then either literally do this. That might be cool. And focus on our lady in the background here, or I might actually do 2 cameras. So the one reverse might be this, that shows all these people, and that's also nice then for a sweeping pan. Once I know where I'm cutting to it, I can go and set up the keyframes for that. And I might even set up another one and have the reverse of these 2 guys, so like looking into here. That might be cool. Let's try that as well. So that'll be camera 7. And these guys I'm going to call 2 guys twerking, because that's the dance move they're doing, the twerk. So I'll go select, actually I'll select camera 7, I'll switch to camera 7. If I don't do that, I'll change the camera that I'm still on, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go and do that. Then I'll select this guy, and then I'll go and focus on this guy. And that'll be more like a closer shot again of these guys. Yeah, I think that's going to be nice. Oh, I see. That's slightly over my head, I must admit, but I can see potential in that. That's something we should practice one day. Maybe that's also a good topic for a video, explaining how that works, because it's not just applicable to cameras, it's literally applicable to everything. So I'm thinking, do we also want a close-up of her? we may not need that because I think I'm on her as we go into the back here. We will see her in close up already, so there may not be a reason to do that. While we're in the camera setting up mood, let's see what our camera 2 does and just duplicate that so I can get rid of the camera move in between. So currently the second camera here does a close-up on both of these actors on the outside. We cut to him here, and then this camera moves over to here. But I don't think I want to do that anymore. I want to have one camera on him and one camera on her, and that makes this easier for me to switch between them. So if I go and duplicate camera 2 and call that camera 3, and camera 3 is going to be looking at the FBI on the right, and then camera 2 is going to be looking at the FBI on the left. That'll make my life a lot easier, and I don't have to worry about the camera move then anymore. So with camera 2, I'll go and delete those keyframes. It's not what I wanted, Blender, not at all. It was the keyframes I selected, not anything else. Crazy stuff. And this can also go, because that's the only camera position we need. And now I can animate this camera. So in case he walks out of vision, I can try and go and stay on him for a bit. And then that makes this whole shot a little bit more interesting. Whereas then on the other side here, view camera 3. I wonder if there's a control numpad 0. Control numpad 0, that does that. Let's have a look. Does it? Control numpad 0? No. Does it? It doesn't do that at all, Blender. That's a lie, isn't it? Let's just be honest here. Right, so camera 3 needs to be, I need to also delete those keyframes here. Just the keyframes, Blender, not the camera. I have a feeling sometimes Blender just does what it wants, not exactly what I want. Right, so that's now on her. Well, it's kind of, you know, there's two reasons for that, Steampunk Belladonna, because on one hand, there's this a great example that happened on a stream. I was doing things, and all of a sudden I inadvertently picked this button here. Oh man, I was zoomed in again. I'm so sorry about this. I keep doing things and then I'm not even zoomed out properly. I'm so sorry, guys. Do shout it out if I'm on the wrong scene. Just shout it out and then I can go full screen again. This is actually something I wanted to show you in zoomed in mode. I pressed this button here accidentally, and watch what happens to all these menus on the side here. When I press this, they kind of get reduced to only one little icon or a few little icons. And I had accidentally done this and I couldn't figure out what it was. So I think Brian suggested, why don't you watch back the stream and then you'll see where the mistake happened and you'll see what you've done. And I thought that's a great idea. And this is exactly how it happened. Eventually these icons were gone and I was thinking, what did I do? And I accidentally pressed this thing and I didn't know it was there or what it did. So yeah, so that's one reason of doing it. It's nice to document things that you have made, that you have done wrong. But at the same time, it also means that if I can pick up things by just trying my way out, it brings out things that are interesting for everyone. So it's kind of, you know, there's almost a purpose to to learning. And of course, and there's wonderful tips that I get from Christina and other people from time to time that really make me think, oh, that's how that works. So I appreciate all these little things. One thing Christina was saying the other day was that in the file open dialog, sometimes you get, or I'll just use the import dialog here, sometimes on the favorites menu here, when I delete something like this folder that I have added in here from the hard drive, these things are grayed out. I don't think I have any at the moment that are grayed out, but if I had any, then they aren't selectable. And Christina said, well, you can go into the config file and get them, delete them there. And I only read that in passing, and it was such a good tip. I made a video about it. That I've just released that today, I think, publicly. But yeah, I think the other thing is don't be shy. Just go and share what you do with others. I think that's that I'm always a fair believer in that. I got a really nice comment the other day from a viewer who said, I really like watching your stream because you don't pretend to know it all. Things go wrong, and that is what I can relate to. When I try 3D things go wrong all the time. I suppose that's just what happens. And I thought, that's really good. That's really good feedback. So I'm now thinking, if I have these cameras set up, I've got one on the green lady, on the bank manager, I've got a couple of the reverse shots there. Let's see if we can just think about where they need to go, keyframe wise, just roughly, and then we'll set up just a brief camera movement during that time, so that when I do cut to the camera, it isn't static, it's in motion. And if I do that afterwards, it'll be really difficult to add those keyframes there. Actually, I could do it either way. I guess I could do it by cutting to the cameras first and then animating. Maybe I'll do that. It'll be slightly awkward, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Chris, hello. Very good to see you, my friend. Let's start once again with the beginning. Once we're on this shot here, and let me show you this in real time actually. So we've sped up the whole animation quite a bit. As soon as we're on this shot, I'd like for him to keep waving his arms because I like that motion. But we can make the scene look more interesting by cutting away twice. And that's literally just during this time. Once here, and we cut back to this because I like him doing his arm thing, and then we cut to the other agent. And then we cut back to the wide shot, and then we're zooming into the bank. So my plan of doing that was to be about here, have him do that. Then we cut to this FBI agent, which is now camera 2, I believe. So I can go, I believe, first of all, I'm going to go and save my scene here, very important. I'll go and I think it's Control B at the bottom part of the timeline, so not here, it has to be at the bottom. I think I can do that, and I'm cutting, oh yeah, that was to camera 1. I'm so sorry, that needs to be at the front here. We want to start with camera 1. I go and select camera 2, that's this one here, that's perfect. So at this point I'll go and cut to camera 2. So we see him, then we cut back already to the camera, to camera 1. Then he's doing another nice move, hopefully dance move. Are you? No, you're not? What a shame. I thought you were going to do that. Maybe I've missed his opportunity there. Yeah, I definitely want to see that. And then I want to cut to the other FBI agent here, who does that. Then I want to go cut back. In time for him to wave his arms here. Woohoo, nicely done. And then I want to cut to the other FBI agent here. So now I want to go and cut to camera 3. See her twerk. Maybe come up, and then we come back to camera 1. This might be too fast, so I can always move these things around, much like I move around keyframes. and then we're in time to move into the back. So that's the plan. Let's see how that looks. It's not bad. I can't switch off all the overlays here. I think I can't cut to this FBI agent earlier. I might cut to him just for this type of movement. And then we cut back, so we have a slightly longer way on this guy. So I think that works better for me. I have a few ideas. So there's a couple from the YouTube audio library that are nice. I've used something similar on the bouncing fluffy balls that I made in Carrara animation. And I might use that, or I might use another Wanda Shakes track. So I tell you, the only other thing that we're gonna change about this, I'll leave these positions in as they are right now. The only thing that will change about this now is that, and you'll see the difference as I explain this to you. This camera here is in motion, and it's a very subtle motion, but that really adds to it. Then we cut to one that's completely static. And then we cut to the one that's in motion again, and then we cut to another static one. And this is going to look extremely cool if we make the cutaway cameras also subtly move. It doesn't have to be much, but it really adds to the whole thing if everything is just subtly moving. And it's slightly tricky to do this now because I have to go and set a keyframe before and after we cut to the camera, and then just go and move the camera ever so slightly. So that's tricky. I wonder if there is a way for Blender to temporarily disregard switching markers. I haven't found a way to do that yet, because as soon as you put camera markers on here that switch your camera, it means you are now bound to see that as that happens. So I wish there was a way to just temporarily switch this off, and I don't really know how to do that. But maybe I'll find out one day. Let's start with our camera 2 here. So we have to be on camera 2. And that's our keyframe here. And I think all I want to do is maybe just move in slightly closer to him. I think that's all we need. Maybe slightly closer and further up, just to go with his head movement there. So what I'll do for that is I'll put the actual keyframe just ever so slightly before we cut to him. So the camera can be static up to that point, but literally from here towards the end, we'll just make it a little bit moving. So the way I achieve that is that I'll park my playhead just before we cut away. So I'll go and park the playhead here, and then once I've made my adjustment, I'll just move the keyframe over to after the cut. And let's see if that works. So we'll go slightly closer and we'll go slightly higher, I guess. Was that the plan? And then we go keyframe that. So right now we barely see anything, but the camera is moving at that point. So that's nice. I think I'd also, the other thing I'd like to perhaps do is switch the overlays back on. Maybe just go and play with that angle a little. That was on camera 2. So then we do this, and the camera moves a little bit more. But I suppose, yeah, we can be higher because I suppose we're cutting his head off there a little bit. So let's make it a bit higher at this point, or give him more headroom as such. Great. So for that to be completely in movement, in motion, I'll go and select the second keyframe and just go and move that over the cut. So then as a result now, he says, that's the plan. We see this, then we cut to him and this camera is still in motion. So I think I like that. If it was a bit too much motion, that's cool. We can reduce that. It looks more like a music video then. I think it's okay. I think I'll leave it. If it's too much later, I'll change it then. We're going to do the same here. So we can probably start the camera lower and then just go move up with her as she moves up. So I suppose we'll use this keyframe on camera 3 now to be here towards the end. So this is kind of where we want to end. So I'll take that keyframe that I already have to about here. And then I'll go and position my camera just before it cuts, once again, just before it cuts. And with all that, I could probably just use the Z-axis to do that. And go keyframe that. Now we'll move that keyframe over before we cut and the other one after the cut, so that we go and cut from here to there. And the camera keeps moving. Could even move it slightly higher, can't we? Might do that actually. So once again, so I can see my work, I'll have to move that keyframe to about here, go onto the keyframe, and that was that the Z axis? It was, wasn't it? Z. Move it out again. I like it. I like it. Looks seriously cool. And we'll just do this principle with the other cameras that we've set up. This might move a bit too much. I'm not sure about that much movement. It's just a bit not as subtle as I would like it to be, you know. I think I have another about 20 minutes. Come on, we can do these cameras. Thank you for the reminder though. I like it. I'm glad you guys are reminding me, because it's, you know, before you know it, it's just several hours later and we don't want for that to happen. So I guess this is the way it works. I'll have to go and move these keyframes into the visible part here. And if that is too much movement, I can go and say, okay, this guy goes and do we like where we end up? No, we don't. We like the starting position. We don't like the end position. So I'll just take that keyframe out. I'll go and duplicate that, Shift D, move it to about here. And then I'll just go and move my playhead on there and see what else we could do. If we wanted to end up there, let's just be higher on the first keyframe. I think that'll make all the difference. So Z goes higher here. And then this is the movement. Is that good? It should really be the other way around, shouldn't it? Whoops. So we want Z to be down here, I, and then we just go further up maybe. Like so. Come on, that's gotta be enough. Gotta watch the time, gotta watch the time. Okay. Subtle, I like it. More subtle, and more subtle. I love it. This is nice. Right, quickly save and see where we want to cut to the... Well, it's so I need to leave at 11:30. That's when I need to physically leave. So then my shift starts at 12. So that gives me enough time to get my bike in order and pack my bag and all that. So it's I've got another exactly 30 minutes. So let's see. We go into here. And we need to see the whole wide shot for a little bit. And he's dancing his wild moves there. And I think I want to cut to him when he's going really wild. But I think before that, I have a moment to cut to the lady in green. So I think if we just leave that, have us drink in the scene a little bit, this is a good place to cut to the lady in green, I think. So let's do that. I think that was camera 4. Control B. There she is. And just there, we're gonna, just before she does that, we'll go and cut back to our camera 1. And we'll do exactly the same thing as before, but in this case, I suppose we can do more of a kind of a slightly round the lady pan, if you know what I mean. Let's see if we can make that happen. So I guess this is the keyframe we take, and then we have another one here. I'll use the same values just so that we have something to play with. I wonder if we just move the camera around her that way a little bit, so that we essentially bring the guys in blue into vision. Yeah, just something like that. That we just start on that. Just move that here, move that out of the cut. We see this, then we go cut to her. Look at that. It's awesome. I think I'd like to see a little bit more of her. I like to see that a little bit longer. In fact, even longer. Because then we'll see him do his thing. He knocks over the barrier. And I think then he does this. So that is where I would like to see the bank manager now. And that's, I think that is camera 5, if I remember correctly. So I'll go and cut to camera 5 at that point. Oh, that was not good. I meant to cut to camera 5 here. There, camera 5. He does that. I might just switch the camera around a little bit and show him from the actual front there, or something close. And once he's done with his pirouette, I think we're then going to cut away from him again. Yeah, because those movements, I think we should see them as a wide shot. So that goes and comes back to camera 1 at that point. Which isn't a wide shot anymore at that point. So, I might have left it too late there. Yes, I actually might come to him earlier. I might come to him here. That's a good time to cut. Then he does this, and then we'll cut back to him because at that point we can then go zoom in. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Let's do that. So now all we need to then figure out on camera 5 is to see how we want that camera to be lined up. If he does this, and we can kind of follow him in the close-up that way. Let's do that. Okay, I'll add a keyframe here again, and I'll also add the same one at the end, just so that I've got something to play with here. I think we want to be closer on him. So I'll go zoom in more. That might actually work, that we just go and cut from that to close. Then he does his thing, and then we're already zooming out again to here. That might actually, that works great. Let's use that. So then the whole thing, that's very nice. We can leave that, and at that point we're already showing these guys. So I wonder if we do need that reverse shot at all. We might not actually need it, because I really like this. There's just a small timing issue. I'm thinking we can probably cut to the lady in green slightly earlier, and then cut away from her slightly earlier. That might give us enough time for that other shot. So if we go cut to her here already, and then cut back here, we may have to adjust the keyframes now, but that's a small issue. Yeah, let's stay on her for a little bit longer. And that also means we can go and cut to our bank manager just a tad early. That, and we can actually cut back from him a tiny bit later. That's nice. I like that. It's very subtle, but I really like that timing better, because it's somehow it means the cuts are more integrated with the action. It's just very hard to explain. I might actually go and use that. I might use that reverse shot here. I don't know, shall we? What do you think? What's your feeling about this? If we go and when we come closer to the lady in red, like here, is this a good time to cut to the reverse shot and then back to this? I'm not sure. It's one of those things I guess we can try out and see how it goes. Let me go quickly fix the keyframes for the green lady here. I think she was, what was she, camera 4? No. Yes, she was camera 4. Yes, so she's just starting the movement a little bit late, so we'll go and, because I've changed her camera cut, so I'll just go amend the keyframes there, and so now the camera movement is already in motion by the time we cut to it. Yeah, maybe here. I'll just go and try it. Did we say yes? This one's camera 6 now. No, it's actually camera. Oh, it's good question. Which one was camera 6? That was the reverse shot. Yeah, so camera 6 would be ideal for this. And then camera 7 is those guys. Yeah, so camera 6 is another wide shot. Yeah, let's do that. Let's use camera 6 for that. Awesome. So at this point, let's go and change to camera 6. Just before we get too close, and also before we lose the main man here, my main bank manager guy. So camera 6. And then to about here, and then we can come back to these guys, because that is then on camera 1 again. That's perfect. Then we have that second wide shot there. That's gonna be really nice. So once again on here with camera 6, I'll go and set a keyframe just here. I'm so glad I worked this out. I'm so glad about this this workflow here. That's really nice. Because yesterday I still had a big puzzle of how do I set the keyframes when the camera's already switched. I mean, how do I do that? That's a really simple way of doing that. I've also just noticed that now that we're using this shot, this guy's already stopped dancing, so we need to make sure he keeps dancing all this time, so that when we do cut back, he needs to still be moving. Very important. 15 more minutes. Come on, we can make this happen. We can make this happen. I like the start. I think I'll just go and move it. Do we need to really move, or shall we? We can just go. Maybe just move from left to right. I'm thinking. Should just tweak the end. Camera 6 selected. Put my overlays back on. And just go. Just move it. That could be too much. I actually like to keep it a bit longer. And then when we put the keyframes out of the cut, then we have this. And then we cut back. Thank you, Steampunk Belladonna. I will save. That'll be my next action right now. Whew. Just to also satisfy my curiosity with a quick peek at the Windows Explorer. I do appreciate those tips, by the way. So now that I've set my versions to 10, look, I think we're on file number 7. I do have all these things like blend file 1, 2, 3, 4. So that those correspond to every time I pressed save, I guess. So 4 is now the one I made last night, I believe. That was still from yesterday, from 8:30. And so these are now going up in chronological order. So 3, the previous one was then the one, probably one of the first saves I've made. 10:48, 11, 11:13. That was the last one. So that's how this thing works. When I hit save, this is going to be my latest file. The file that I had saved before becomes blend 1. The one I had saved before becomes blend 2, and so forth. And just in case you didn't get what my issue was, that was under save and load. I had an autosave here for 2 minutes, but my recent file versions were set to 1, so I never got anything other than that, other than my Blender file, which is uncool. Remind me again, guys, where is the path to the temp files? Where do I set that? perhaps on the file paths. Temporary files, right. So that's an app data local temp. So this is a generic Windows folder. So if I wanted to have all my temporary files elsewhere so that I can easier get to them, I suppose this is where I change that. I might actually do that and go and put that into the bank heist temp files. There. That is only for this project, right? That's what I was thinking. Yeah, exactly. This is only for this project, right? So if I were to open a new Blender session, it'll be reset back to the default in that file, right? Yeah, indeed. Also, this is a temp directory that Windows clears out. If I reboot Windows, all those files are gone, and I don't really want that to happen. That generic directory, that's never a good idea to have that. Windows. Oh, it's saved. Okay. Okay, right, cool. Just to satisfy my curiosity, I'll go and save this. And I'll go and open a brand new scene. Just because I'm curious. This is what I thought. Temporary files are now back in the generic directory. So it's only for that project. If I go save my, or bring back my other project, then of course it is still, it hasn't saved. Look at that, back to the generic Schlons directory. Ay, caramba. That's not good, is it? There's so many things so unique to Blender. Man, we're artists. We can't deal with that. It's all. No, it's not about that. I meant I changed this to this temp directory, which Blender has actually saved something in, so that's nice. And my things are saved. I mean, I can oversave them just to make sure. I just save this file, and if I go and open a new scene, then that directory, oh, see, now it does it. What? This is the one thing about Blender that I don't understand. Didn't I just do that? I quite clearly did. And Blender goes, now I'm ignoring you the first time. I'm just going to ignore what you did the first time. And then the second time, then I'll make sure I'll remember. This is what I don't really like about Blender. It has to work consistently, not like Wednesdays between 10 and 11 we'll work it this way, and then in a minute later it's the other way. I don't get that. Sorry, that's just crazy, isn't it? Good. At least it's where I wanted it to be. That's all I need to know for now. Man, that is just messing with my mind, I'm afraid. That's just messing with my mind completely. Well, I think before I go, let's see if we do need anything else. We may not actually need anything else. Oh, this guy needs to move, of course. I don't know why he stopped moving. I'm sure he moved yesterday. Oh, now he starts moving. Oh, that may have something to do with the cheering motion there. Yes. We've shortened the animation considerably, so I need to just move these guys back because they end with a cheering motion. That was very nice. And I might consider putting the last close-up camera into here. Let's take care of these guys then, so that they need to go and start. They need to keep moving, you know, very important. Those are the vault people. The vault people, and that'll be in the animation tab. Just checking where they are here. You shouldn't be surprised, Christina. You should assume it works. And if it doesn't, then we kick up a stink. Yeah, but you're so right, Steampunk Belladonna. You just have to triple check everything and check it again and again. This here, I think this is our camera, isn't it? Yeah, this is our camera here. Let's see when we need these guys to be all in motion at this point here. And now I need to find the guys. Where are they? FBI female 2, that's what we're looking for. Those are the cameras. We don't need the cameras. Agent female 2, that's one of them. Yeah, that's one of them. So I think it's as easy as making sure this repeats more often. So she needs to start doing that there. The transition here, by the way, automatically expands if I slide this around. So that's really, really cool. I don't have to apply that transition again. I just need to make sure it's a bit smaller. So I suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more times than what I've got right now. So let's make that repeat 15 times. And then we have this kind of transition. So let's watch her and see if that transition from Roomba dancing to cheering is good. Hello, playhead, where are we? Oh, good. So when I press space, right, it's because this is at the end. This is the end of the animation, isn't it? We're making that slightly shorter. I forgot about that. Let's make it 4,200 so that we have a bit of leeway at the end for doing more cutaways of these guys before they start cheering. So I want the cheering to then start at around 4,000. Let's turn that back to 9 then, or 8 even. And then bring the cheering block kind of into this. So she Roomba dances, and then that is a very slow transition. So we want her to do that much quicker, don't we? I suppose we have time for one more repeat then. So repeat that and see what that looks like. Dance and cheer. Woo, very good, very good. Maybe even do that even quicker. Woo, hoo, hoo, very good. And then we cut out. Perfect. I might actually just make that 4,500 so that we have enough time there. Let's repeat her cheering 3 times. So we'll cut out before that, but it's like, it's good to have enough time there. Okay. 5 more minutes. Yeah, exactly. Goma, hello. Good to see you, my friend. I've made a highlight for you explaining, that's on my Twitch channel here. There's a little highlight, just an excerpt from yesterday's or the day before stream about how you set the ankle rotation on animate blocks in DAZ Studio. It's only 5 or 10 minutes or so, so it's I thought it might come in handy. Let's worry about this guy now. He needs to be in movement here already. Let's figure out what he's actually called. Vault people. He's going to be hoodie guy number 2. Yeah, you're hoodie guy number 2. Hoodie guy. You're hoodie guy. Hoodie guy 2. There we go. That's his Roomba block, so he needs to start dancing there, which he does now. That's perfect. As long as he's motioning the moment we enter the vault. That's cool. But he has the same thing about the cheering now that our other girl had here. So she starts cheering around here. He'll do the same thing. So I guess we'll take off 1, 2, 3 blocks. That makes his 9 repetition. And then put that cheering block to about here. And then so they can all kind of start almost at the same time. There we go. Nice one. And then we have the final Roomba girl here. This is, who are you? You're FBI girl 3, also known as FBI female 3. That's you here. You're just twerking. Oh yeah, I didn't make her cheer. Should we make her cheer at the end? Maybe I won't make her cheer. She's just gonna keep Roomba dancing and just comes up. We'll be okay with that. I suppose I'd like her to be up by the time the other guys are up, so I might just go and move that block to about here. So then she's not actually cheering, but she's at least coming up kind of at the same time as the other guys, like so. Yes, that's nice. And then we cut out. Cool. Let's do one last thing before I'm gonna have to go, and that is to make the first FBI guy, or it's actually, I think it's the SWAT guy that we see just outside here. So it's essentially this guy in the middle here. When we go into here, there comes this point where we're going to cut to the reverse angle, namely here, and we see that he's no longer dancing, and we just need to make sure he's dancing up until beyond that point. So this guy, that's not vault people, it's not the bank people, it's the front people, and that's the SWAT guy. SWAT guy is also known as just SWAT. So we need to have a look at this whole stack here and see where SWAT guy is. Maybe I can filter this. But that doesn't really show me what I want, does it? Hello? There we go. See if we can find SWAT guy. So hoodie, mauve bystander, route to SWAT guy. There we go. Hello SWAT guy, how you doing? So you need to just go and repeat your samba dance one more loop. That's all we need from you. And then he just keeps a dancing out there. There he goes. And his friends too. So I take it his friends, I can see them moving still. So they're still moving. It's just him. He was kind of, catatonic already. So there we go. Okay, I will go and save this. And let's watch it without the overlays. And then I'm going to have to say goodbye. Just see what we got. Thank you so much, Steampunk Belladonna. Let's just watch this whole thing once through, and then I will go render it out, and then that'll be on my 3D Shenanigans channel. The first animatic is already there. I think this is the link to that channel. You can have a look and look at the first animatic. That's kind of the work in progress, in which we only had the camera pan, and I've tightened that up in preparation for this. I love him just jumping into frame there. That's very cool. And knocking over the barrier. I'm so glad we made that happen. That's very cool. And every camera is just in this subtle motion. I really like that. That, we'll see if we want to do anything else with it. Same with the end. I'll see if we wanted to do something like a reverse shot here, or something like a closer shot on a couple of these guys. before we then cut out at one point. And then them starting to cheer. Guys, cheering. When are they cheering? Are they not supposed to be cheering? That takes a while, doesn't it? I think we need to do the cheering needs to happen much, much faster. But hey, I will make it happen. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me on this spontaneous morning session. I'm gonna have to go rush off to the supermarket now and make customers in South Miami happy. And I will be back not tomorrow because no, I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when I'll be back. Please join me then, and we'll see the devastating conclusion of the happiest heist ever in the history of bank heists. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.